I'm Etta Schneider. I'm the board president and chair of historic Huguenot Street in New Paltz, New York. I'm also a descendant of many of the families, the founding families here. I only always believed I was a DO descendant until I got more engaged in Huguenot Street. Now I understand I am a Hasbrook descendant and a Freer and a Lowe and an Elting, and it's just a mix, Dubois, so it's a mix of everything. I'm a Huguenot mongrel. I mostly think about my mother's family and my mother. She was always very proud of her French Huguenot heritage and of her DO family. And she was married in the Dutch Reformed Church here at New Paltz, as were my grandparents and my great-grandparents and my great-great-grandparents were all married here. There's just so many kind of memories and connections, not that clearly I was at her wedding, but just hearing about being married here and her whole line kind of being married here, and this connection that as a child was just mesmerizing. And we always had these little artifacts, like she got it when they came out with a memorial plate of the Dutch Reformed Church. She would buy that. There was a DO mug that she purchased with her crest on it that we used for pencils and things on the desk, and I still have it. In particular, she always talked about two uncles, her Uncle Hiram, who was the secretary of the Woolworth Company, and her Uncle Charlie, fourth president of the Woolworth Company. He had a magnificent home. She was mesmerized as a young girl to go to his house for dinner and watch him just push a button on the floor that would summon the servants. Growing up, I heard a lot about it. When he passed away, he left his estate across a number of cousins. From money that was left, we were able to put an addition on our house, and I always kind of remember that was Uncle Charlie's addition. But also when he passed away, there was an auction held of all of his estate items. My mother went to bid on some things because she wanted some memories of him, and she bid and won a set of Franciscan apple dishes that she had for the rest of her life and my sister now has. Turns out that was also the same set of dishes that Eleanor Roosevelt had at Valkill Cottage. It was a memorial service for President Roosevelt. My dad was a scoutmaster and was asked to put, for Hyde Park, and was asked to put the wreath on the grave. And they were also invited for tea to Eleanor's Valkill Cottage. And when they went, the tea was served in the apple dishes. My mother, can you imagine just at that time, because Eleanor was bigger than life after FDR passed, and to be able to go to her cottage and see the apple china, it was like a big moment in her life. I think more than my father's, even though he was the one who got to put the wreath on the grave. I can just imagine her putting her little hat on, her little navy suit, and getting all dolled up, she would say, to go over to Eleanor's for tea. She wanted certain things of her life to go to Huguenot Street, and one of them was a Libertyville coverlet was in her family barn, and she kind of rescued it. It was basically being used as a horse blanket. As it turns out, it's a wonderful collections piece, of which Huguenot Street now has over 100 of them. And before she died, she gave me the coverlet, and she asked me to take care of it. And I remember her words, until the time was right for me to give it to Huguenot Street. For her, it was a really special artifact. So clearly she wants it to go to Huguenot Street. So I'm on record that it's going to Huguenot Street. So when I'm done with it.